I have been guilty, as has a large number of friends of mine, of saying the following. I'll be discussing what's going on, recounting the horrors going on in this country, particularly for anyone other than white. And we'll be talking about it. And then one or the other of us would say, well, I just can't. I've stopped watching the news, or I can only take it for a little bit and then I just have to turn it off because I can't abide this. And I would be right there with them saying, me too. There's only so much you can take. I mean, after all. I woke up at some point and recognized we only have the luxury of saying, I'm just going to turn this off and not look because we're white. That's it. We are white. So we have that luxury of averting our eyes, of closing our eyes, of taking a break from the horror. Once that realization hit me, I became what's probably a horror show to my friends. I don't know why anybody follows me on Facebook anymore, because the only thing that I post, almost, slight exception for the great-granddaughter, the only thing I post on there is the horrors of what's going on for so many people. And the horrors of watching the democracy, the destruction of it, which is pretty much accomplished, and the horrors of what this means for the whole world. We cannot turn away from it. We may not turn away from it. As someone said in a meme I saw the other day, somewhere right now in the United States, a young girl is writing in her diary. I've also been thinking and saying for quite a while, if anybody is going to be able to lead the resistance to what's going on, to be the biggest pain in the ass to ICE, to all of it, it's got to be old white women. Why? Not because we're born heroic, hardly that. But what we do have is the least to lose. We don't have young children that we have to protect. We don't have beginning careers that we want to protect. We have already lived long lives. We need to be on the forefront. I saw a post this morning by a young man who's British, but of some, Asian descent maybe, saying in Minneapolis, he has never seen the kind of bravery he has as old white women are displaying. That's not bragging. That's saying, get out there, old white women. We need to be doing whatever we are physically and mentally capable of doing to stop this horror show.
Hello brothers and sisters, welcome back to the channel. I'm hoping that you're doing great from whatever you want to be from. As you know, I'm your host and presenter Agent Stories. Let's talk about this. There's this statement that this old white woman gives, that I'm just gonna turn this TV off and I'm not gonna watch it because I'm white. Simply because she thinks that all these problems cannot come back to them. And analyzing, and also she understands that they are the ones that they have tilled the problem that is having them today. They kept quiet for a long time until it started affecting them. Now, all this captures a deep-rooted pattern of disengagement rather than simply honesty. Now, on the surface, it sounds like a personal choice, but underneath, it reflects how racial privilege often allows people to opt out of confronting injustice. For many white Americans, especially those who grew up during the eras when segregation and inequality were normalized or hidden racial suffering has been treated as background noise rather than a shared national concern. Turning off the TV becomes symbolic. Understand that it doesn't just reflect a program, but rejecting emotional responsibility. Rejecting emotional responsibility. This behavior reveals how privilege functions not only through access to resources, but through the ability to remain untouched by other people's pain. So, turn this TV off. I'm white. I might not just watch it because I'm white. It doesn't concern me. Rubbing it off like that until the same problem started coming into your own community, and now you're coming out and understanding that what you did or what you said was a mistake, and you're doing this all out of guilt. So brothers and sisters, I want us to watch this video. I'm gonna be back and then I'll be sharing my thoughts. I'm your host and presenter Jidek Stories, and if you're watching me for the first time, I'm asking you to please subscribe to the channel, join the membership. I really get to see what I can offer you. But until then, let's watch the video. I'll be back.
White people are being welcomed to America now. And what I mean by that is white people are being welcomed to the America that many of us have been experiencing for a while now. And that's not even to shame y'all, because at this point, I don't even think that that's helpful. It's more just to give you context to the situation that y'all are in. And I say y'all very specifically because this is a white America homegrown problem. This is like Jim Crow, this is slave patrol, this is a white American issue specifically that we are in right now. And so what is happening is y'all are being asked to stand with yours. That's what this is, right? So white people are being gunned down in the street the same way that they've been gunning down black people for ages. And it is because they are not following the rule book. You're not following the script. Because what's supposed to happen is they're asking you to align with your whiteness. And I'm going to put the definition of whiteness up again because there are specific definitions of what I'm talking about. White people are being asked to align with their whiteness. And what is not going to go along with that, with this badge that is giving you privilege to walk through the world with immunity, at least in regards to your race. I'm not saying that you didn't experience hardship, but you didn't experience it because you were white. They're asking you to align with your whiteness right now. And I think a lot of you are coming to terms with what that means, because whiteness also doesn't necessarily ask you to identify with it in the same way that like black people identify with being black, for example. And you are coming to terms with what that means, of what it means to be white in America, because they're asking you to be that right now. Race is a construct. Let's be very clear. Whiteness is a construct. And they are now calling in the favor. They're asking you to cash in with all of the privileges that you've enjoyed by being white and the things that you have avoided because you are white. You are now being called to cash that in. And what they want in payment is for you to co-sign all of this. Fuck, they want you to join them. They want you to be outside. They want you to arm up. They want you to help get these people that are not like you out of your country. Your country. That's what the rhetoric is. And a lot of you don't want to, which is good. I love that. I am happy to see that there are white people who are like, wait, but I don't want to participate in this, which also means that you don't want to participate in whiteness. In fact, it sounds like that a good number of you would like to dismantle it altogether. You don't want to be capital W white if this is the cost. Now, I don't have the answer for the question that I'm about to ask next, but I do want you to think about it. What does that mean to you to no longer be capital W white? To no longer experience capital W whiteness? Who are you outside of your race? Who are you outside of these experiences? And to answer that question, you are going to have to go through your life and comb through and decipher just how many things happened or did not happen to you solely because of the color of your skin. I think that's a big question. I'm not expecting you to figure that out right now immediately, but I do think that that's something that's going to be very meaningful for y'all to work out for the after. Because whatever happens after this, America's going to look very different. Race relations are going to look very different. White people are going to have to answer to each other. I mean, screw having to answer to black and brown people. Y'all are going to have to answer to each other, because I'm seeing in real time a lot of y'all looking around like, I don't understand why y'all are acting like this. To your fellow white people, I don't understand why y'all are acting like this. And I am really sad to tell you that they have felt this way the whole time. And because of your shared whiteness, you didn't see it. So, who are you going to be now that you shed that? Because shedding capital W whiteness is going to mean shedding the privileges that come along with that, and we're seeing that in real time. What are you going to do with this? And that's the question that I want you to ask yourself. I cannot answer it for you. Nobody else can. That's going to be a question that you have to ask yourself and ask your community. Ask the other white people in your life. Ask your family. Ask your loved ones who are not okay with what's going on. Who are you? And what are you willing to do if you go through your life and you spot all of these things that maybe did happen for you or did not happen for you solely because of your race? Who are you going to be without that? And the answer to that is very important. And I hope that finding it is enlightening for you. So good luck, I guess.
See, the thing is, the people that ICE is just wantonly killing are better than everybody in this administration. Especially the ones that are in the limelight the most. Trump, Miller, Noem, Levitt. You could just be a regular Joe Schmo that just minds your business and does your job, like the immigrants, and you're a better person than all of them. The man they just killed was an ICU nurse for the VA. Is that a common role to be in? I don't think so. He's probably seen things that a lot of people cannot stomach. He probably wanted to be there for veterans. You know who's not a veteran but was supposed to be? The President of the United States. This is a man who cared about people. Renee Good's family said that she was an amazing human being, one of the kindest people they'd ever known, extremely compassionate. Can you say that about anybody in this administration? No. Can you say that about anybody in ICE? Not just the people in the field, but the people at the detention centers, preventing lawyers from seeing their clients, or from even seeing inside the facility, preventing Congress from seeing inside the facility. They're all complicit. I don't care if you're just a grunt, you're complicit. Everybody who's protesting you, the people who are trying to prevent people from being kidnapped, like Alex Preddy, they're better than you. They're better than you. They're better than all the maggots and all of their leaders. All of the immigrants who came here just to seek a better life and didn't commit any crimes. We're not talking about the civil infraction of jumping the border. They're better than you. Simple. They're just better. These people don't live in a reality. They believe that their skin color automatically makes them not just good, but the best there can be. Supreme. When it's literally the opposite. These people are not supreme in the slightest, and it has nothing to do with their skin color. But let's be honest here. I love this skin. I get upset when I'm pale in the winter, but my paleness still doesn't come close to their paleness, but they think that that's supreme. And I'm not even trying to be like a black supremacist or something, but the sun likes me, so. The people that parade themselves around with masks on, might I add, white masks, telling everybody how they're the best and they want to make sure they're still on the top, are the exact opposite of the pinnacle of anything. Socially awkward, unathletic, ugly, can't even live among society normally. What use are you? The thing is, you could be of use if you were just normal. If you just lived your lives among people and didn't want to be above them without any merit. That's the thing is, y'all hate DEI, but you think that you have merit just for existing in white skin. That don't even make sense. You think DEI was people being put in positions just because of their skin color, but that's what you've been experiencing. That's what y'all do. DEI got people who were qualified and had a different skin color than white. You just didn't like that. Delusion is strong among these people. It's very strong. It's really hard when you have the most deluded people out there in office, controlling the most powerful country in the world. But it's kind of poetic because they're going to bring in the end of this country. They really are. People the world over are seeing how much of a farce all of this shit has been for centuries. Not just the country, but the idea that white people are supreme. And it's not just that. These people are narcissists. So logically, they're going to just lie. They're going to lie about the reality that we all can see. They're going to defame people's character because they can't fathom that everyday Joe Schmoes can be better people than them. They can't fathom that other people wouldn't kill puppies or touch children. You know, the bar is extremely low, and yet these people think they're supreme. They think they're high in value. No. Now, you can lie all you want. You can spin the narrative. You can make your fake news. But the clock's ticking. The clock's ticking. Reality is not on your side, and neither is time. I mean, Kristi Noem couldn't even live with her own face. Neither could Caroline Leavitt. How are you supreme? Trump can't even accept that he's pale. He has to try to get his complexion closer to mine. To just go outside. To just leave his bedroom. Damn! Wow. You'll never be us. You'll never be good people. It's too late for you. It's too late. Defame these good people that you're taking the lives of all you want. But now you've solidified them in that position of being a good person. And with every lie that comes out of your mouth, you have solidified yourself as the pieces of shit that you all are. Thank you. You're doing the work for us. I'm just gonna be blunt for a second. ICE can move the way it does because they know they have each other's backs. No matter what they do. If one person acts, they all act. Like a hive mind. One person attacks a citizen, they're all attacking that citizen. Bum rushing them, throwing them on the ground, and then shooting them some of the time. They also know that y'all are just going to record it happen. Just like George Floyd. You're just going to record it. Instead of coming together as a community that vastly outnumbers these agents and supporting your citizen, your fellow citizens. ICE agents know they have each other's backs. We as citizens don't. We don't know that. What support is pulling out a phone? That's support after death when these people are taken to court. If they're taken to court. But the guy's dead. Shot 10 times. 10. Just because they assumed he had a gun. They couldn't even put him on the fucking ground because they're weak. Protests aren't going to cut it. How many times do we have to say this? They're not going to cut it. He sent his dogs into your city because it was a blue city, not because there were a bunch of immigrants there. Or no, the immigrants do have something to do with it because it's just racism. It's just racism. I know maggots, like personally. Just had a whole argument with one yesterday. They just jump on the bandwagon of hate. They don't know a single Somali in their personal life, and all of a sudden now they hate all Somalis because they think they all commit fraud. These people are just stupid. And stupid people are dangerous. But somehow these idiots also have each other's backs. Why don't we? Why? Look at all these arms manufacturers in Minneapolis. You don't think they have bulletproof vests you can use? I know we did not grow up with movies like Home Alone, where a child was able to tactically plan to protect himself against an invasion. Not with signs that said, "Don't come in here, don't come in here." Those men were harmed. With spy movie after spy movie after spy show, with comic books about vigilantes and people who actually took justice to the streets, Batman not using signs and protesting. I know we didn't grow up on that for nothing. I know we didn't. And if I'm being honest, if this kind of shit comes to my city, I don't know if I'm gonna make it. Because I can't just stand there and record as someone dies in front of my face and then scream bloody murder about it. The bloody murder's right there, and you could have prevented it, and you didn't. Why? Because you don't have each other's backs the way ICE does. You don't. I know, you guys are doing your best. This is not against people in Minneapolis. This is talking about all of America. All of America. Minneapolis, they're taking care of each other. They're striking, they're giving each other groceries and food and money. That's amazing. I'm not discrediting or discounting any of that. But people are still dying anyway. They're dying anyway. And for people who are telling white people to step up, they are. And they're dying. That man was a hero. And he was martyred by his own government. Y'all need to ask yourselves how far you're willing to go to defend your fellow citizens. You need to ask yourselves that. Because these are cowards that are hiding behind the idea that they're federal agents when they're really not. Because they don't even have the qualifications. They're just Proud Boys, Nazis, white supremacists in masks with guns. That's what they are.
So let's talk about it. This kind of disengagement is possibly because the system of society were designed to insulate white communities from the consequences of racial oppression. Now, housing segregation, school zoning, media framing, and economic inequality have long ensured that black suffering feels distant, abstract, or not my problem. At least that's what they've been saying. To many white viewers, when violence, when poverty, or injustice affect black communities appears on a television, it can feel like an intrusion into a space where white comfort is expected to be uninterrupted. Rather than asking why these issues persist, some choose avoidance. The phrase, because I'm white, unintentionally exposes an awareness that whiteness comes with the opinion to look away. It is not your fight. You need to look away. Generational context in this issue also matters. Old white Americans were often socialized in a time when racial issues were either minimized, justified, or blamed on black communities themselves. Media narratives frequently frame black suffering as the result of personal failure rather than systemic injustice. And as a result, repeated exposure to stories about police brutality, mass incarceration, economic disparity can trigger defensiveness or fatigue, not because the issue are unimportant, but because acknowledging them will require rethinking long-held beliefs about fairness, merit, and innocence. So, turning off the TV becomes a mechanism to avoid cognitive and moral discomfort. We are getting to look into history and seeing the harm that white women have caused, especially to black people. You understand the story of Tail Emmett and what happened to him, and this white woman that made her go through what he went through. So we are getting to look at all these part of histories and how they happened and how they affected black people. It is important for you to recognize, it's important for you to understand that they're now realizing they've played a big part of the cause of the problems that we are seeing happening today. Now, there is also an emotional economy at a play. Empathy requires energy, humility, and even sometimes guilt. For people who have benefited knowingly or unknowingly from racial inequality, sustained attention to black suffering can feel accusatory. Understand that even when no credit, when no direct blame is being assigned, the mere presentation of injustice can be interpreted as a threat to self-image, saying, I am white. In this context, functions as a boundary marker. It signals distance, exemption, and emotional withdrawal. It implies that racial injustice is a niche issue rather than a structural problem that defines the nation as a whole. So from the perspective of the black community, such statements can feel deeply dismissive and painful. Black Americans do not have the luxury of turning off the TV when the issue being discussed reflects their daily realities. Police encounters, economic instability, healthcare, disparities, and racial profiling. All these are lived experiences, not optional content. When someone openly admits they can disengage because of their race, it highlights an equal burden of awareness. One group must remain constantly alert for survival, while another can choose ignorance without consequences. Right? So you also need to understand that this dynamic also reveals how media consumption itself is racialized. News about white communities is often framed as universal, neutral, or just news, while stories about black communities are framed as special interest, political, or exhausting. And over time, this framing trains audiences to see black pain as a repetitive or excessive rather than urgent. So, the woman's reaction is not purely individual. It is the product of decades of storytelling that position black suffering as something to tolerate briefly, not something demanding sustained engagement or action. So, importantly, this confession should not be seen only as cruelty, but as a moment of unfiltered truth. Many people think this way but do not say it aloud. The honesty exposes how racial empathy operates quietly in everyday life, not always through hatred but through indifference. It shows that racism does not require active hostility to be harmful. Passive disengagement is enough to allow injustice to continue. When large portions of the population refuse to witness or care, systems of inequality face little pressure to change. So I think it's important for us to, and I think it's important for you to understand that. So brothers and sisters, please let me know what you think and feel about this video. I'm your host and presenter, Agent Stories. Until then, I'm hoping to see you in my next video. Peace, love, and harmony. Salute.